Thank you very much, Ranjit Karthikeyan. And thanks very much to all the professionals who've come here today. I'm extremely happy to join this campaign for Rajiv Chandrasekhar's election. Rajiv Chandrasekhar contesting from Thiruvananthapuram, I think is a very important statement, and a statement which has a statement of purpose in it. We need Kerala, particularly Thiruvananthapuram, to be in the policy making directly, and no better person, I would think, than Rajiv himself for this purpose. And I'm extremely grateful for each one of you all who have come today to be of support, to be a part of this campaign, because what you would hear from me and what you would hear during the campaign from Rajiv himself will underline this topic. I mean, I'm taken by surprise that the topic chosen is political continuity. I know it's the last, but more important things will have to be mentioned. So I will only flag off those important points which constitute political continuity and that which will result in economic stability. And therefore, why Thiruvananthapuram will have to directly participate in order to give the nation political continuity. The slogan which we are using now very clearly is not just a slogan, it's a statement of belief, it's a statement of faith, it is a commitment of all the BJP Karyakarta. And to a large extent, because as I move from one part of the country to another, even people who are not directly or indirectly associated with the BJP also convey this message that political continuity is important. We do not want any catch-up of a government to come and disrupt that which has been achieved in the last 10 years. So this slogan which I am talking about, which is not just a slogan, is Fir Ek Baar Modi Sarkar. We need Modi's government to be formed for the third time. The 10 years have gone very clearly, removing all the dead wood from the system which had accumulated over the years and decades, removing that culture of red tape, being absolutely transparent. Look at the way in which today the opposition is not able to pick up on one issue of wrongdoing or corruption. It's an irony. I'll come straight to the point. It's an irony today they seem to say electoral bond was a big scam, it's a corruption. It was the law of the land. Every party benefited from the bonds which were raised. And just that doesn't justify it. What justified it, as long as it was the law, the Supreme Court in its wisdom has removed it. I respect that decision. So let there not be a confusion about, am I saying something different from what the Supreme Court has said? We respect Supreme Court's decision. But when I'm talking about the electoral bond as it existed before the Supreme Court gave its orders, it was the law of the land. What it did to what was the system which was prevailing earlier to bringing it one better than what was prevailing then was the purchaser or the donor will put his money into an account, and the bond encasher or the political party will receive it in their account. So the account to account transaction shows you that it is absolutely white and traceable. You can track it to who gave it. So at least it is one step better than what prevailed earlier, where suitcases were coming, bagfuls of money were coming, unaccounted wealth was being poured into elections. So when Arun Jaitley got this act, it was passed in the parliament and most parties have benefited from it. Now it's all right, Supreme Court has said, but to now they did not benefit from it, to say that is a BJP thing of whitewashing the money, just shows how absolutely lack of ideas they have become. So going to the point that I'm saying, a government which is responsive, which removed the of the previous 10 years or even further backward, and then so that committed to removing black money from this country, and that is why the first decision after 2014 when Prime Minister Modi came in was for forming an SIT for removal of black money. The work is going on, and the progress is that now countries where from India unaccounted wealth goes into tax havens, we have an agreement to get those data and go. Every money which is outside is black. Many one place will certainly understand it. When people live abroad, they keep an account abroad. They store money in that for their emergencies and for their savings. That's not black money if tax is paid either there or tax is paid either here. So we now have agreement with which these people do share the accounts detail, and where it is found mismatching, that's where inquiries start. And even then, after the answer is obtained, if you think there's a reason for only then closure of who that person happens. There's also this whole thing about Congress party constantly saying, all right, you got this information from 2018, put it all out. No. Private information of lawful citizens who have kept their money after paying tax as well. So there are nuances which we need to understand. So I'll go back to the point that I'm saying, removing deadwood, getting a clear and transparent government, listening to stakeholders, whether it is on companies law, whether it is on insolvency, whether it is on GST, or whether it is environment related, or whether it is labor code related, or whether you're talking to the farmers about reforms in agriculture, consultation happens. Whether it is intellectual property right, consultation happens. And only then are decisions taken. So one such decision, which I want sitting here to put on the table, is opening up of some of the sectors like space, which have directly benefited Kerala. Pushing startups to get more funds for themselves, whether from the SIDBI located fund of funds, which in 2016 we gave 10,000 crores. And taken after good consultation, so that it benefits the people and there is economic activity getting generated everywhere. Now, if this is an example, I also want to move forward to say, if between 2014 and 19 reforms were set in place, banks' healths were improved, today our banks can compete with the global banks, they are profit making, as a result dividend comes to the government from. We don't put money because they are loss making, dividend comes to us, I am going to be able to spend more for the social welfare and developmental activities. So banks' health have improved. What the Reserve Bank called in 2014 as a twin balance sheet problem has been sorted out. Twin balance sheet meaning on the one side of companies' balance sheets, and as a result, because of they not being able to pay back the money to the banks, banks' balance sheet also being affected. So the twin balance sheet problem of that fragile India, one among the 5 fragile economies, then 2013-14, today has become twin balance sheet advantage. This is not my word. Reserve Bank of India has recognized that you have an advantage, twin balance sheet advantage. As a result, banks are able to fund more, banks are able to assist greater credit flow into the economy. As a result, in spite of COVID, today we are the fastest growing economy. And I would want this number to be put before you. 3 continuous quarters, we've had more than 8% growth. 8.3 was quarter 3. I wouldn't be surprised if fourth quarter also ends up in that number overall for 23-24, averaging at 8. I'm not saying media should quote me saying finance minister said 8% for 24, yet to be, final numbers yet to be arrived at. So if economy after all the trouble today has reached this level, we are confident that we can sustain growth momentum. We need every state to actively participate in this. It is the growth of India. It is not growth just of one party or one government. It is India's growth. It is India's youth who are going to derive the benefit from it. I'll just put forth the number which is important for us. India's middle class is the captive audience for everything that you do. Today, investors are coming into India because they see a big potential of middle class growing, purchasing power in the hands of middle class being intact, and as a result, demand to grow, that by 2030, this is a very important number, by 2030, we'll have 70 crore people in the middle class. And by 2047, this number would grow to 100 crore, 100 crore. There's so much activity to be done, so much production to be done, so much service sector growth to be seen. The potential lies in India, and therefore we need to importantly see how we can sustain this growth. And I'm happy to say here, even if there are left-handed comments being made by, I would think, uninformed people, this growth post 2020 has been achieved without any increase in any taxation anywhere. You may say, oh, what happened in 2021 when excise duty on crude oil was increased? There can be such increase, but there can also be a drop because they are determined by overseas prices. But Prime Minister Modi has not, and clearly has not, increased any rate, direct or indirect largely, which are within the central government's purview. Indirect, that which is in the GST, we are not singularly responsible. All the finance ministers also take a call there. Now, therefore, if this kind of a revenue buoyancy, tax buoyancy can be achieved without even increasing tax rates, in fact, in direct taxes, we have come up with a second alternative tax system in which you can choose no exemption for yourself and pay lesser tax. You want to continue with your exemptions? Very well, stay in the first option. The second option gives better rates, conducive tax filing process, and that is actually beneficial for people who don't need any exemptions. Both the systems continue. We have not pressured anyone to leave one and get into the other. Now, if all this is happening, what has the government done to make sure that this will continue? The policies that are being implemented, whether it's the production linked incentive scheme, as a result of which India has become the second largest exporter of mobile phone, one example. The electrical vehicles, the battery storage, rare earths, green hydrogen, solar or any other renewable power investments which are going into it. All these are clearly indicating the path that we want to go in making India a manufacturing hub. And if that is the path for manufacturing hub, you are clearly seeing signs of export growing so well. India is going to be the global leader on global services. And I would think Kerala can directly have its big input into that. So with all this, we are also ensuring the digital public infrastructure will be further strengthened. Artificial intelligence will come into play. That is not for displacing labor. On the contrary, we want very many more youngsters to become masters of artificial intelligence and generate tools out of it so that it can help in ease of living, doing better businesses, in precision manufacturing, in randomizing usage of water, seeing what land groundwater level is like, better agricultural practices. So AI has so many different uses. Provided we have our young, the youth, being able to play with it and come up with tools which will be helpful for us. So we don't need to be afraid of AI. We need to encourage our youth to get additionally skilled in using AI. So I won't take more of your time. The political continuity, therefore, is important. The world sees us. Both IMF and Standard & Poor have come up with very clear picture that India will be leading in trade and also the growth of the world. This is possible only when you have an administration which understands the whole thing. And that's what Prime Minister Modi has proven to the people of India, that he is able to give that kind of leadership. So, फिर एक बार मोदी सरकार.